Good evening, everyone, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this ambush stream, talking about news in Hollywood. Yes, the chaos that is Hollywood right now has intersected with one of my subjects of endless fascination and has created a multiverse of sadness in Tinseltown. And here we are to see the rewards of just... I don't know what to tell you. I kind of saw this coming. I was wondering what was going to be the fallout from the affirmative action decision, from everything else that's been going on, and the Academy is having to scramble right now to cover its bases in this chaos and conflict. But I'll get to that momentarily. Who's joining me real quick? Cougar Knife, Jaeger Pony, Old Guy Gamer, Funtime Bats, Corey Suzuki, Spoony the Rebel, Jaeger Pony. I already said Jaeger Pony, but twice as nice. Mike Savage, Attack Alpaca, Angelverse, Rotten Corpse, Scanner Daffley, Robert Pincus, Jack Frost, Shadowclaw, and Ebony Williams. Good evening and or afternoon, everybody. So let's get right into this. This is an exclusive. This came out just a couple hours ago, and hat tip to Massive Dynamics for alerting me to this on Twitter. Academy sends letter affirming commitment to diversity initiatives after multiple Black executives exit. Exclusive. Let's get into it here. The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences sent a letter to its members on Friday evening addressing the recent departure of multiple Black executives from its organization over the past few weeks. Signed by Academy CEO Bill Kramer and President Janet Yang, the statement, obtained by Variety, includes an affirmation of the organization's commitment to its diversity and inclusion programs, as well as efforts to, quote, expanding, unquote, their promotion, which I find particularly interesting. We'll get to that. Quote, we have heard from some of you who have asked about our Academy DEAI programs, diversity, equity. I'm honestly not sure what the A is supposed to mean. Accessibility, maybe? Or I don't know. I could allyship. Anyway, Academy DEAI programs, as these efforts across our film community and other industries have been called into question, the letter begins. Ooh, called into question. Quote, a number of Black executives in Hollywood have exited their roles, including within the Academy, and we recognize the concern this creates. Okay, given all of this, we want to reiterate in the strongest possible terms the Academy's commitment to not only continuing, but expanding our efforts to promote diversity and inclusion within our organization and the film industry at large. Unquote. So that was part of the letter. I don't know if that was the whole. I think they put the whole letter at the bottom of the article, so I'll get to that. At least 4 Black leaders at the Academy have left the organization since July 2022 for varying reasons. Will they give us the reasons? I don't know. Chief Operations Officer Christine Simmons, Vice President Global Relations and Member Outreach Patrick Harrison, a 22-year veteran, by the way, Executive Vice President of Impact and Inclusion Janelle English, and most recently, Executive Vice President of Member Relations, Global Outreach and Awards, Sean Finney. In addition, the Academy has drawn controversy for its April appointment of Meredith Shea as Chief Membership, Impact, and Industry Officer. Does any of this sound a little overlapping in places? Let's see. Executive Vice President of Impact and Inclusion, Chief Membership, Impact, and Industry. What is impact? Sorry for the aside. What does impact mean? It seems like such an abstract concept. What kind of impact are we talking about? I don't know. But anyway, Meredith Shea as Chief Membership, Impact, and Industry Officer, who, in addition to overseeing all Academy membership, award submissions, and department budgetary items, is also charged with leading diversity efforts. Noteworthy, according to a study by Zippia, 76% of chief diversity officers are white across all professional disciplines. Okay, why is that noteworthy, Variety? Why? Okay. In the letter that does not name any of execs by name, You mean any of the execs by name? Kramer, whoops, click on that. Kramer and Yang also reiterate the organization's commitment to diversity within its leaders, noting that Academy executives, quote, at or above the vice president level, unquote, are 71% women and 42% from underrepresented ethnic or racial communities. Is that the sort of corporate speak equivalent of some of my best friends are black? It's just okay. Following a previous Variety story reporting on multiple black executives exiting movie studios, the Academy has since updated its website of listed leaders after initially including only one black executive, Jacqueline Stewart, Academy Museum president and director. It now includes executive VPs who report to Kramer, notably BIPOC team members Yolanda Enamorado, Executive Vice President, People and Culture, and Jenny Galante, Executive Vice President, Revenue and Business Development. Still, the Academy does not have any Black or Latino C-suite staff above Vice President level beyond the Academy Museum, although there are BIPOC department heads who are not listed on the website who also report directly to Kramer. When asked about the alarming trend of mass exodus of black execs from studios and organizations and his response to the Academy's letter, Blacklist founder Franklin Leonard tells Variety, quote, anytime you publish diversity numbers for a new members, wait, let me try that again. Anytime you publish diversity numbers for new members without also citing the numbers for the organization as a whole, you're saying quite a bit, unquote. Okay. Now, before I read the letter in full, because I think most of it I've already read because of the article, let us take a moment to step back and think about exactly what is all implied in this article and how this aligns or does not with the law. Now, as many of you may know, I had a inconvenient discovery about a week ago wherein I read some older Supreme Court decisions that seemingly create a legal loophole for Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, wherein if an organization or a company, and this is just my layman's interpretation, by the way, if an organization or company can articulate a reason for having an affirmative action system in their company, that focuses specifically on race and or gender, at least as far as those laws were concerned, as long as they can justify it by saying, oh, we're doing it in the spirit of why Title VII was implemented in the first place in giving preference to certain races over others, then they're not bound to feel any consequences from Title VII being violated. That was my layman's understanding of those Supreme Court decisions. But with that knowledge in mind, at the same time, those Supreme Court decisions also leaned on the idea that if you were to have such a program going on in your organization, it had to be temporary and it couldn't lean too heavily on statistical fulfillment. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer here, and I've only been looking at this stuff for 7+ years, wondering how the heck any of this is legal. But in the Academy's declarations here, it seems to me that they're having a long-term program that sets specific goals and or metrics on the basis of percentages of demographic split. So I have to wonder, A, does this find coverage in those previous Supreme Court decisions? And B, given what we saw in the decision against affirmative action by the Supreme Court, which indeed does not technically apply to Title VII, but does directly apply to Title VI, who is pretty much a kissing cousin of Title VII when it comes to legal justifications for using discriminatory practices in your organization or institution. I don't know. I feel like the Academy is setting themselves up for more and more problems the more they double down on this. But anyway, with all of that gobbledygook out of the way, let's read the full letter from the Academy. Dear Academy members, we have heard from some of you who have asked about our Academy DEAI, I hope that doesn't mean artificial intelligence, programs, as these efforts across our film community and other industries have been called into question. In addition, a number of Black executives in Hollywood have exited their roles, including within the Academy, and we recognize the concern this creates. Given all of this, we want to reiterate in the strongest possible terms the Academy's commitment to not only continuing but expanding our efforts to promote diversity and inclusion within our organization and the film industry at large. We have made great progress in recent years, and there is still much more work to do. Of our current Academy executives at or above the vice president level, 71% identify as women and 42% identify as coming from an underrepresented ethnic or racial community. And in our 2023 new member class, 40% identify as women, 34% identify as coming from an underrepresented ethnic or racial community, and 52% come from outside the United States. In addition, we have expanded our employee resource groups, oh boy, ERGs, evolved our DEAI-focused recruiting and hiring initiatives, and continued to grow our people and culture department. Our talent development programs that focus on traditionally underrepresented voices in film now extend from K through 12 through mid-career initiatives. Oh, good. Their affirmative action programs are also extending into schools. Yay. Our inclusion standards formally go into effect this awards year. And by the way, I'll be reading an article about those new inclusion standards in a moment. Aperture. We do what we must because we can. Aperture, our membership guidance program, will continue to drive diversification across all membership branches. Our Academy Museum continues to program, and now travel, exceptional and diverse exhibitions and screenings that contextualize and challenge dominant narratives around cinema. Moving forward, we remain committed to continuing our global engagement efforts, expanding our work with our member affinity groups. Oh man, they're just knocking every single ball out of the park. ERGs, affinity groups, boy, oh boy. And exploring additional ways to empower our employees. Our DEAI-focused work is a continuous journey that requires sustained attention, commitment, and resources across Academy departments. We will be looking for additional ways to accomplish these efforts, and we are firmly committed to the process. On behalf of the Academy, thank you so much for your support. Bartles and James, we look forward to continuing this important conversation. Signed, Bill Kramer and Janet Yang. So there you go. Boy, oh boy. Just so you know, guys, I know a lot of people that look like the kinds of people we want to retain are leaving, but really, we still have a lot of people who look like those people in the organization. And we're going to get more people that look like those people. We pinky swears it. It is just absolutely baffling to me that these are adults in charge of things in the modern day, but what do you know? It is what it is, I suppose. But either way, let's also move on to, again, just a couple of weeks ago, the Academy released its new diversity. Here, I guess I'll do this. I have to disable my thingamaboober here. Hopefully it doesn't play any video or sound. If it does, let me know, and I will try to zap it. Anyway, a few weeks ago, the Academy released a list of its upcoming new diversity and inclusion rules. So I thought I'd get an article that talked about that, at least briefly. I can't make this video go away, can I? No, I can't. Apparently not. Okay. Anti-woke critics target the Oscars, but here's what the Academy's new diversity rules actually require. Okay, so this comes from Forbes. So they are, I guess, against the anti-woke crowd. They're going to show us what the reality is, which I'm fine with. The Oscars are the latest in a long line of targets branded as woke over rules that are set to take place next year to encourage diversity among Best Picture nominees. But some right-wing critics are erroneously stating that all nominees must meet an on-screen diversity requirement, which is just one of several standards that could be met for eligibility. I'm going to switch my screen here real quick. I'm getting sick of those ads. I have a version up here that I think won't have all that stuff going on. It's a bit too much like a circus show on there. Okay, that's a bit better. But before I get into the rest of the article, thank you so much, Keeverdam. Fundraisers in chat. Oh, the fundraisers, yes. Let me post that to the top of the chat. Let's see. Is that there now? That is there. Okay. Thank you, Keeverdam, so much, and appreciate the donation as well. Everybody at the top of the chat, there is a link to a GoFundMe for a friend of a friend. Twisted Skipster's friend needs a little assistance because of personal calamity requiring them to have to pay some bills that they are coming up short on. If you have a couple of bucks to spare, please take a look at that fundraiser. If you can't donate, that's fine, but if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. So let's move down on the rest of this. So again, just to reiterate, the Oscars are the latest in a long line of targets branded as woke over rules that are set to take place next year to encourage diversity among Best Picture nominees. But some right-wing critics are erroneously stating that all nominees must meet an on-screen diversity requirement, which is just one of several standards that could be met for eligibility. Now, I don't know what the Oscars' specific requirements are. We'll get to them in a second. But I will tell you that there has been an effort over the last several years to actually make production quotients and quotas a part and parcel of the process. There's a video on my channel, and I forget what I called it. It was like, Gina Therapy. That's what it was. GEENA Therapy, where Gina Davis was talking about it was the Gina Davis Institute, and she was talking about how she was promoting this idea of setting quotas for how much screen time a female actor got versus a male actor, editing scripts ahead of production to add more female roles, stuff like that. So these trends to move towards having, requirements of how many kinds of people you have to have in your production, one way, shape, or form, have been going on for a while. It might not be applied necessarily to who qualifies for a Best Picture nominee. I guess we'll find that out in a second. But even though Forbes is trying to downplay that idea is out there. It really is. And it's being implemented more and more as time goes on. Key facts from Forbes. The Academy announced in September 2020 a set of rules to encourage diversity would take effect with the upcoming 96th Oscars ceremony in March of 2024. To be eligible for Best Picture, the ceremony's top prize, a film must meet 2 of 4 new diversity standards. The first, Standard A, which has come under fire from conservatives, can be met in one of 3 ways. 1, either one lead or significant supporting character is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Okay. 2, at least 30% of the acting ensemble is from at least 2 underrepresented groups: women, the LGBTQ community, disabled or deaf people, or people from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. And 3, the storyline centers on an underrepresented group. So basically, you're telling studios that they have to populate their productions with specific types of people if they want to qualify for an award. Just as a sort of sidestep comparison, a couple of years ago, I did a video on a story that I think is still true from Goldman Sachs, one of the largest, if not the largest investment bank in the world, where they said to any participating companies that they may or may not work with in the future, if your board of directors does not have at least one woman on it, we will not do business with you. So basically telling organizations they have to populate their workforce with specific types of people, never mind talent or skills or anything else, just as long as the aesthetics are pleasing, then we'll consider you for the award of our business. So no, this isn't extortion of a kind. No. This isn't telling creatives how they have to create correctly. No. Screenshots of just Standard A have circulated on social media as some right-wing critics falsely state films must meet this requirement, when in practice they could be eligible for Best Picture by satisfying 2 of the other 3. Okay, what are the other 3, or the other 2? Standard B, films must meet one of 3 criteria. Okay, at least 2 creative leaders or department heads, including casting directors, cinematographers, composers, and more, must be from an underrepresented group. At least 6 crew or technical positions must be from an underrepresented group, or at least 30% of the crew must be from an underrepresented group. Okay, so if not having people on screen that look a particular way, I have to hire people in the background who look or belong a particular way. Never mind Title VII. No. Never mind employment laws and the Civil Rights Act. No. I have to make sure that everybody that I'm hiring in one way, shape, or form looks the part. That's so much better, Forbes. That is so much better, fundamentally. Okay, what's the third one? Standard C. The film's production, distribution, or financing companies offer paid internship or apprenticeships and training opportunities for people from underrepresented groups. Okay, so either the production itself, what ends up on screen, has to have people who look a particular way, or the people in the background doing the production itself have to look a particular way, or I'm giving money from the production in some way, shape, or form to people who look a particular way. And what's this last one? Standard D. The film studio must have multiple senior executives from underrepresented groups in its marketing, publicity, or distribution teams. I'm seeing a theme here. I'm seeing a theme here of valuing people on their demographic fit, not about their skills or their experience or anything else. I'm seeing that the only concern is the aesthetics of the people involved. And that if the aesthetics of the people involved do not please the Academy, regardless of their output, they won't be considered for Best Picture. That's so much better. You're right, Forbes. You're right. Right-wing critics are totally wrong in complaining about Standard A, because Standard A isn't the only thing to be considered, except that the fundamental core of Standard A goes throughout all the other standards. And that's the problem. But you don't see that as a problem, I assume. The Academy announced these policies 5 years after the Oscars So White boycott, in which activists criticized the Oscars for nominating all white actors at the 2015 ceremony. And they have fixed this problem by becoming racially exclusionary. Okay. Chief critics, Fox News host Tommy Lahren called the diversity requirements a snake eating its own tail, suggesting that, quote, whiny, rich, white Hollywood liberals are going to be out of work, unquote, as these rules take effect. Some of the social media outrage was sparked because of viral misinformation. Popular right-wing Twitter account End Wokeness, I don't know that I know that one, tweeted a screenshot of Just Standard A, which has been retweeted thousands and viewed millions of times, and falsely stated that films must meet the on-screen diversity requirement to be eligible. You're right, Forbes. You're right. That is a false statement that films must meet the on-screen diversity requirement to be eligible. The word that should not be in that statement is on-screen. You take that out, and it's absolutely accurate, because every single standard has a diversity requirement. Oscar winner Richard Dreyfuss blasted the diversity rules last month. Quote, no one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is, unquote, he said. The New York Post quoted an anonymous director who called the requirements, quote, ridiculous, unquote, stating, quote, I'm for diversity, but to make you cast certain types of people if you want to get nominated, that makes the whole process contrived, unquote. Some, including the New York Post, speculated that films like The Godfather would not win Best Picture today, with one social media user suggesting it is, quote, too white and too male, unquote. Well, how about you put The Godfather up against all the standards, not just Standard A, all the standards. If Forbes really wanted to be honest about this, they would take The Godfather and they would look at, okay, what does the cast look like? What do we know about the people behind the scenes and so on? And say, would The Godfather even qualify for Best Picture today under these rules? Is the answer yes or no? I mean, that is an interesting accusation to make about The Godfather. Well, the diversity requirements may seem strict on the surface. No, they don't seem strict on the surface. They seem strict throughout the entirety of them. But anyway, but will likely be easy for films to satisfy, the New York Times reported in 2020, given that studios may already have internship programs and many women and gay men work in publicity. I mean, New York Times. Do you get the problem here, though? That's not the point. The point, you have missed it. The first criteria of Standard A, which mandates one lead or significant supporting character must be from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group, would have been an easy bar to clear for predominantly white Best Picture nominees like La La Land and Joker, which featured black actors John Legend and Zazie Beetz, respectively, in supporting roles. The new requirements drew some praise. Oh, I'm sure it did. Activist April Rain, and is that your real name? April Rain, who started the Oscars So White campaign. Oh, what a hero. What a hero April is. Called it, quote, another step forward towards equity and inclusion, unquote. But stated, quote, we are far from there, unquote. Of course, we're never there because there is no endpoint. This is one of the specific things the justices mentioned in the majority opinion on affirmative action that the lawyers for the colleges could not articulate. When is it complete? What is a completed diversity initiative? They could not state a goal. They could not make a clear line as to when you have achieved said goal. And so you just have to have a perpetual program going forward, isolating and excluding people based on what they are towards an unknown endpoint. That is part of the reason, and one of the major reasons why affirmative action failed the test in the majority opinion. But anyway, setting that aside. Tangent, okay. The Oscars and other award shows have faced criticism in recent years over what critics say is a lack of diversity among nominees. So we're going to artificially and intentionally mandate that diversity, what we define as diversity, or else you don't qualify. That sounds fair, doesn't it? Thank you, John Miller. I remember a certain British comedian calling them out in the middle of an award show. These zealots will never learn. Yeah. If you have not seen the medley of Ricky Gervais takedowns at award shows, most especially I think it was either his most recent one or last one at the Golden Globes, I think it was. Yeah, it was epic. And in fact, most of his tirades at award shows have been epic, if I can articulate or pronounce things today. Let's see. The British Academy Film Awards, Britain's most prestigious film awards, announced similar diversity requirements in 2016 for two categories: Outstanding British Film and Outstanding Debut by a British Writer, Director, or Producer. To be eligible for these categories, films must meet diversity requirements in 2 of 4 areas, which are similar to those later implemented by the Oscars: on-screen representation and themes, project leadership, industry access or opportunities for diversity in audience development. Don't know what that means. BAFTA later announced a significant overhaul to their awards process in 2020 after it nominated all white actors and all male directors, including mandating unconscious bias training for voters, adding more than 1,000 members to the voting pool with a focus on underrepresented groups, and implementing a quota for women on the Best Director Award long list. Oh my God. Oh, congratulations on your nomination for Best Director. I don't know that I wasn't picked because of my genitalia. Or I don't know I wasn't excluded because of mine. Oh, we just stacked the deck in the voters category with more people that we picked specifically because of what they look like, hoping that they're going to pick people who look like them for future award shows. Because obviously people who look a particular way think a particular way, like a monolith. Boy, oh boy, BAFTA. If you are the sign of what's to come for Hollywood, hui caramba. Key background: companies deemed woke, unquote, have drawn online right-wing outrage one by one over the past several months. I don't know what to tell you. And again, maybe this is my pie in the sky sort of feeling here, but if there is an institution, a public institution or a private institution that sets race or your orientation or your gender above merit or ability or tenure or anything else and celebrates identity like that, who puts racial or gender identitarianism above all, I think there should be a certain amount of outrage in this country. If you believe in equal opportunity, if you believe in the spirit of the civil rights movement, then there should be outrage from every direction. I don't think it's just right-wing outrage, but I think people who are on the left might be more nervous to say anything, elsewise they'd be exiled from the tribe. Uh-oh, they're coming for me. Can you hear that? They're coming for me. This is what happens when you live near a fire department and a highway patrol office. Let's see. Conservatives boycotted Bud Light in April for sending transgender TikTok creator Dylan Mulvaney, known for documenting her gender transition, a customized can with her face on it, starting a wave of momentum that has targeted others like Nike, which also collaborated with Mulvaney, Target, and Kohl's. Actually, by saying that name, does my stream get immediately demonetized? I remember hearing something about that. I think that might be so. Oh, thank you, Derek LaRue, so much, as always, for your continued support and generosity. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I keep having to remind myself what day it is. I usually don't stream on Saturdays, but excuse me, it is what it is. Thank you so much. Let's see. The most recent targets include country musician Garth Brooks, who angered conservatives by pledging to sell all beers, including Bud Light, at his new Nashville bar. Okay. And Mark Cuban, who offended conservative commentators and fellow Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary. I'm not even going to get into Kevin O'Leary. I don't know why that guy is given any credence whatsoever, but hey, whatever. For calling wokeness good business. I mean, to a certain segment of the population, but it's falling apart pretty quick. I don't know if you've noticed what's going on in Hollywood lately. It's not so much the strikes. It's not everything to do with the output and the messaging. Oh, the messaging, always the messaging. Conversely, Starbucks recently faced criticism from the left and self-congratulatory reactions from the right after a workers' union, Starbucks Workers United, accused the company, long known as an LGBTQ ally, of banning stores from putting up pride decorations. The company refuted this, stating no such policy regarding pride decorations had changed. Excuse me. Surprising fact. Oh boy, I like surprising facts. This year's Oscar ceremony made some strides towards diversity. Oh, good. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which stars a predominantly Asian cast, won a leading 7 awards, including Best Picture, and Michelle Yeoh became the first Asian woman to win Best Actress. Well, let me ask you something, Forbes, and maybe this is or is not a surprising fact. Do we now have to question whether or not that movie was voted for on the basis of the race of its cast? I mean, what exactly are these standards promoting in the voting of films towards Best Picture? Is that not a question that should be asked, given this structure, given this climate? Is that a question that should legitimately have to be asked about productions like this? I wouldn't want to make that question mark. Right? I mean, what is imposter syndrome? 4 Asian actors in total were nominated, the most ever in a single year. The ceremony still garnered criticism, however, for snubbing Black actresses Viola Davis, The Woman King, and Danielle Deadwyler Till, who many awards pundits considered locks for nominations. Well, a lot of people thought Hillary Clinton was going to win the election too, but what do you know? Okay, so they should have been nominated because of their race. I mean, it's good that these people were nominated, right? Because, well, I mean, they weren't nominated because of their race. They were nominated because the movie was good, right? And that the performance met the standards of the Academy, right? But these 2 actresses weren't, and so the deciding factor there was their race. I'm getting some mixed messages as to what exactly we're supposed to be taking away from this, Forbes. Right? And the problem with the entire setup is seated within this article in what is not said and connections not made as much as those that are. But yeah, anyways, the Academy's having to double down on their diversity declarations because so many people who look a particular way have been leaving recently, but they want you to know, don't worry, we're going to make sure we have plenty of people who look a particular way, and we're going to keep pushing to make sure that productions have people that look a particular way because somebody sent out a hashtag 4 or 5 years ago and made us feel embarrassed or something. I guess that's it. I guess that's the story. I'll take a moment for you guys and then I will wrap up. Let's see. Your boy Pat. What up, folks? What up, Pat? How's it going? If you guys don't know about Your Boy Pat, look him up on YouTube. He's got a channel. He's got videos. He's got stuff coming out. I know he's working on something. He's always got projects going on. Super Koopa TV. They are trying to make conservatives sound bad, and they can't. They don't have to make it sound bad. It already sounds bad. Conservative has sounded bad since I was in high school and actually started paying attention to politics. It's a pejorative. It always is. It's a dismissive. It just completely attempts to dismiss any complaint as illegitimate, right? It's just, if you're conservative, if you're right wing, or if you're branded as such, anything you have to say is obviously wrong or misinformed, or you're a QAnon conspiracy theorist or something. And yeah, just citing standard A, that's not the whole picture. Yeah, you're right. It's not the whole picture, but all the standards are created with the same box of paint. That's the thing they don't want to talk about. Tony Giff, one thing I don't get, American comics replaced by manga and anime, and film solely replaced by Korean series and films over American stuff. Boy, you're telling me. I watched one Korean costume drama series with a friend of mine a while back, and immediately Netflix says, hey, you might like this. And suddenly I'm just inundated with recommendations of all these Korean series. And I got to tell you, some of them are fairly entertaining, more so entertaining than some of the stuff I'm seeing on Prime or otherwise lately. So there's something to it. There's something to it. If I have to give a recommendation, and I suppose I should at least give one, the first season, not necessarily the second season because it was a little goofy, repetitive, but the first season of a series called Alchemy of Souls, while ridiculously confusing in its rules on magic and such, because it is a fantasy supernatural type show, it has a lot of compelling characters and performances in it. So I can at least recommend the first season of Alchemy of Souls. Second season isn't terrible, but certain choices made for reasons that might be completely in the realm of just casting or something, or contracts, or because it was taking place during the pandemic, it kind of faltered a bit, but otherwise. Who else we have here? Wait, Yvonne Solomon. Wait, so Asians are diverse again? I thought they were white adjacent. Yeah. You know, or the what was it, the model minority or something? Yeah, so it's great that Everything Everywhere All at Once received Best Picture and all these other actors and actresses received nominations and awards, but the right kinds of actresses were snubbed. Why were they snubbed? I mean, from the implication from Forbes, you would think they were snubbed, I guess, because of their race. It wasn't because their movies weren't particularly good or well received by people. Like, really? The Woman King? There wasn't a little bit of heat or controversy over that movie that might have turned people off. I don't know much about Till, so either way. Let's see. An old guy gamer. If you have a white male director, you also have to have a black male, black female, black gay male, black lesbian female, black trans male, black trans female, and black non-binary director. I guess. And if the studios wanted to cover their bases, all they'd have to do is just have co-directors in name only, just have them on the sheet, have them in the credits, and then they qualify, right? I mean, I don't know. There's going to be so much, for lack of a better phrase, gerrymandering. And I know you want to say gerrymandering, but actually the guy's last name was pronounced Gary. Gerrymandering of who's in the production and everything. And really, I don't see how, especially when it comes to standard B and onward with the Academy, I don't see how that doesn't immediately call forth lawsuits for civil rights violations. You know, you have the Academy mandating what kinds of people you can hire and employ on your production. Right? Not based on talent, based on what they look like. And these things are explicitly protected under Title VII. And the Oscars, this isn't some temporary program the Oscars is implementing or the Academy is implementing. No, they're talking about the long term. They've been doing this for years now and continue to say they will continue it and expand it. So whatever protections the two Supreme Court decisions we looked at last week, it was last week, wasn't it? Maybe time's flying, might provide businesses in doing this kind of thing. It doesn't apply here, especially when they're talking about percentages within their own rules. Percentage quotas for types of people. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future with the Academy, especially after the decision for affirmative action. It's also interesting to see them scramble to try to reassure people that they're totally on board with diversity stuff, even though certain types of people have recently departed for reasons unspecified. I guess we'll see what happens. Either way, everyone, that's all I've got. Let me know what you think in the comments below. On the way out, if you could leave a like, I'd appreciate it. If you didn't like what you see, leave a dislike. I appreciate the engagement either way. Just a reminder that tomorrow, Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, will be the Sunday stream, the stream I do on Sundays, where I'll look at a very energetic speech that was given from the National Education Association keynote a few weeks ago, that's now bubbling up on social media. I've only watched a little bit of it. I can't wait to watch the rest. So that'll be interesting tomorrow, Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And also tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, will be episode 2 of a special little fun project series I'm doing with my friend Leonora, where we are reading Interview with the Vampire and talking about it as we go. We're currently covering chapter or sections 2 through 6 of the book. So if you're reading along with us or curious about it, take a look at that. The first episode is on the channel. And with that, everybody, I'm going to call it here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity, whether it's to myself or to the fundraiser at the top of the chat box. It really is appreciated. By the way, before I forget, like I did last time, and thank you, Derek LaRue, for reminding me last time, I have a Discord server. And if you'd like to join the Discord, all you have to do is follow the link I'm putting in the chat right now. Follow that to the Say Hello channel. And in there, you just say hello along with the secret word. And the secret word is special for every stream to let me and my moderators know that you watched the show. And today's secret word is Academy. Yeah, I know, big surprise, but hey, there it is, Academy. So just say hello and Academy, and you can join the Discord. But with that, everyone, have a good rest of your Saturday. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.